On the night of April 14th, 1912, the most luxurious ship ever built disappeared into the icy waters of the North Atlantic. More than 2,200 passengers and crew were aboard. Within just 2 hours and 40 minutes, over 1,500 people had lost their lives. But here's the question. Was the Titanic simply unlucky? Or was its sinking the result of a chain of human mistakes that could have been prevented? Today, we are uncovering the real story of the Titanic, from its ambitious construction and the myths surrounding it to the tragic decisions that sealed its fate. At the beginning of the 20th century, competition among transatlantic shipping companies was fierce. Britain's White Star Line wanted to build the world's most luxurious ocean liner, not necessarily the fastest, but the most comfortable and elegant. Construction began in 1909 at the Harland and Wolff shipyard in Belfast, Ireland. The Titanic stretched nearly 269 meters, 882 feet long, and weighed over 46,000 tons. Its grand staircase, lavish dining rooms, Turkish baths, gymnasium, and first-class suites made it a floating palace. The ship represented the very best of human engineering. Many newspapers described it as nearly unsinkable. Over time, a popular myth developed that people claimed it was unsinkable. While the ship's design included advanced safety features for its time, the idea that it could never sink became exaggerated in public imagination. On April 10th, 1912, the Titanic departed from Southampton, England. It stopped briefly in Cherbourg, France, and Queenstown, now Cobb, Ireland, before beginning its journey across the Atlantic toward New York City. Passengers came from every walk of life. Some were among the richest people in the world. Others were immigrants hoping to start new lives in America. For 4 days, everything appeared perfect. The engines ran smoothly. The sea was calm. The weather was clear. No one imagined that disaster was only hours away. On April 14th, the Titanic received multiple wireless messages warning of sea ice and drifting icebergs ahead. Several nearby ships reported dangerous conditions. Some warnings reached the bridge. Others were delayed or given lower priority while wireless operators handled passengers' personal telegrams. Meanwhile, Captain Edward Smith continued at a relatively high speed through the area. Historians continue to debate whether slowing down would certainly have prevented the collision, but many agree the combination of speed, limited visibility of ice, and the conditions that night increased the risk. At 11:40 p.m., lookouts suddenly spotted an iceberg directly ahead. The warning bell rang. The bridge ordered evasive action. But it was too late. The iceberg scraped along the ship's starboard side. Instead of one massive hole, the collision damaged several sections of the hull below the waterline. Water poured into multiple watertight compartments. The Titanic had been designed to survive flooding in up to 4 compartments. That night, 6 compartments began filling with water. The ship's fate was sealed. At first, many passengers didn't realize anything serious had happened. The orchestra continued to play. Crew members tried to keep everyone calm. Then came the shocking realization. There weren't enough lifeboats for everyone on board. The Titanic carried 20 lifeboats, enough for about 1,178 people, even though more than 2,200 people were aboard. At the time, this met outdated British maritime regulations, which based lifeboat requirements largely on a ship's tonnage rather than its passenger capacity. To make matters worse, several lifeboats were launched only partially filled during the early stages of the evacuation. Those empty seats would later become one of the tragedy's most painful symbols. As the bow sank lower, panic spread across the decks. Families became separated. Musicians reportedly continued playing to help keep people calm. In the freezing Atlantic waters, the temperature was close to -2 degrees Celsius, 28 degrees Fahrenheit. Most people who entered the water died from cold exposure within a short time. At approximately 2:20 a.m. on April 15th, 1912, the Titanic disappeared beneath the ocean. The largest moving object ever built by humanity at that time was gone. The passenger ship RMS Carpathia received the Titanic's distress calls and steamed through the night to help. It arrived after the Titanic had already sunk. Only about 710 people survived. More than 1,500 passengers and crew lost their lives. The tragedy shocked the world. Newspapers everywhere carried the heartbreaking story. Questions were asked. Could this disaster have been prevented? The Titanic disaster transformed maritime safety. International rules were strengthened. Ships were required to carry enough lifeboats for everyone aboard. Continuous radio watches became standard. The International Ice Patrol was established to monitor icebergs in the North Atlantic. Decades later, in 1985, explorer Robert Ballard and his team located the wreck nearly 3,800 meters, 12,500 feet below the ocean's surface. The discovery reminded the world that beneath the legends lies a real place where more than 1,500 people lost their lives. The Titanic wasn't destroyed by a single iceberg alone. It was the result of multiple factors: technological limitations of the era, human decisions, outdated safety regulations, and unfortunate circumstances. More than a century later, the Titanic remains one of history's most enduring stories. Not simply because a great ship sank, but because it changed the way the world thought about safety at sea. Its legacy continues to remind us that confidence must always be matched by preparation. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video. Let us know in the comments which historical mystery you'd like us to explore next.